So, we heard a lot of people been trolling on Call of Duty and Watch Dogs. You think those games are bad? No, my man, or lady. We'll tell you about our top 10 picks for the worst games ever. VIP is a game that was derived from a TV series which featured Pamela Anderson as the main protagonist. The game was first released on PlayStation 1 and it was very terrible. Poor graphics, horrid animation, and a dumb interface. The gameplay was driven by hitting keys that appeared on the screen, in their order, and that was any and every action of the game. You'd think 2 hours with Pamela Anderson would be a little bit more interesting than that, right? We can't say that Totall Recall the game did the movie much justice. It turned out to be perhaps one of the worst game adaptations of a movie ever. It was released on the NES console and was a generic platformer. Its story had little relevance to the movie or the book from which the movie got its inspiration. Awkward controls, poor graphics, even for the NES, it was bad. Just the name of this game should have you expecting something unusual. Super Noah's Ark 3D. In the game, you play as Noah, running about the Ark shooting animals with a slingshot. The game was made in the style of Wolfenstein and apparently it was supposed to replace it. Mom, I want to kill fascist German Nazis. No son, that's a sinner's game. Play this. God approves. Irritating Stick, the game after the Japanese game show in which contestants attempt to drive a metal stick through a difficult labyrinth without touching the sides or else they'll be electrocuted. We'd be a little bit more lax in judging it if it were just the experiment of some computer programmer, but this one had a whole team behind it that really hyped it up for nothing. Mario's early years, preschool fun, was not fun at all. And even the people from the company who work on Mario don't have fun remembering these years. It was released on the Nintendo. The game that was intended on entertaining school children ended up boring them, with strangely drawn characters and an uncomfortably thin-looking Yoshi. Super long pauses between dialogues made the game seem to be geared more for autistic children rather than not. Let's make a game where girls fight and they'll be in bathing suits and the game will suck and have bad controls and a bad soundtrack that players won't be able to turn off even in the settings. Indeed, let's. That's basically how the game Catfight came around. The game was made by a porn production company. Who's surprised? The first game to introduce nudity and sexual intercourse was the game Custer's Revenge. It wasn't only bad, it was a nightmare. Released on the Atari 2600, you play as Custer and your goal is to reach a nude woman tied to a post. Avoid arrows flying about and make hanky-panky with her. Does it get any better than that? Yes, we think it does. You're on a mission to get from Tucson, Arizona to Las Vegas, Nevada, in real time, and wait for it, it'll take you 8 hours. Nobody else on the road, no passengers, and your bus is constantly weaving right, so it's impossible to put your controller down, leave the house, to come back 8 hours later. If you veer too far off the road, prepare to start all over in real time. The game E.T. Extraterrestrial was created by the Atari company, deriving its inspiration from the movie E.T. The creators obviously thinking to make a pretty penny off the franchise. Aha. The game was such an epic failure, it turned out to be one of the biggest losses ever suffered by a video game company in history, leading to a crisis in the gaming industry. Due to overproduction, a surplus of the game cartridges were buried in Alamogordo. We mean 1 million returned games. Last but not least, or maybe least is the right and better way of putting it, we're going to share the soundtrack to one of our least favorite games out there, whose gameplay we won't even bother going into detail about, Crazy Bus. We've also decided that it'll be the new soundtrack to all of our videos, so come on and join us for the ride. That's it for the top 10 worst video games in history. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and we promise we were just joking about that being our soundtrack. We hope to never hear that tune again.